Our next story is from Africa, from Kenya in the east. Kenya has been facing protests for weeks. The demonstrations were initially against new taxes that was part of Kenya's annual budget. People wanted the new taxes to be scrapped. Thousands took to the streets. They protested for days and they eventually succeeded. Kenya's President William Ruto backed down. He did not implement the new taxes, so the demonstrators won. But some of them have not stopped protesting. They're still taking to the streets and demanding Ruto's resignation. But the Kenyan president has lost patience with the demonstrators, it seems, and his police force is now taking a heavy-handed approach. Here's our report.
Those were the scenes from Kenya yesterday, from the capital, Nairobi. People had taken to the streets once again to protest against Kenya's President William Ruto. Kenyans have been protesting since mid-June. But yesterday's demonstration was subdued, especially compared to the early days. This is what Nairobi looked like when the protests had begun. There were thousands on the streets. But yesterday the numbers were far lower. It shows just how much steam the protests have lost. What was also noticeable was the police response. Officers were seen marching in full force, firing tear gas at the small groups that had gathered.
It is very, very sad that we came here today. We have been tear gassed, people have been beaten, knife bullets have been thrown all over. It is not right. So our president should understand that we are not doing this for ourselves. We are doing this to save his soul, to save this country.
The police arrested 174 people across Kenya yesterday. They picked up 126 people in Nairobi alone. By the looks of it, the protesters are unlikely to make much headway in the future. The Kenyan protests began with a clear goal in mind. Young people initially took to the streets to demonstrate against new taxes. Ruto had proposed increasing taxes on basic goods like bread, diapers and sanitary napkins. This had infuriated the people, so they decided to protest. Eventually, they got Ruto to back down. He scrapped the new taxes, so most of the protesters got what they wanted. But by the time Ruto relented, a number of protesters had died. They were killed by the police while protesting. This angered some of their fellow demonstrators who came up with a new demand. You could hear one chant all over Kenya: Ruto must go. The people wanted the president gone, and Ruto was on the back foot. But he did everything he could to stay on as president. First, he scrapped the new taxes. Then he dismissed his entire cabinet. After that, he co-opted the political opposition, bringing his rivals into the cabinet and forming a unity government. That new cabinet was sworn in yesterday while the smaller protests were taking place.
I am persuaded that this moment in the life of our nation calls on us to build a strong team of rivals to give our transformation agenda the best chance of success and to enhance inclusivity in our national development.
The protesters have been marching for weeks, and at every turn they have been thwarted. The police are cracking down on the protesters harder than ever. This explains yesterday's turnout. It seems the people are tired now, and most have made their peace with Ruto staying in charge. Does this mean Ruto has won? Perhaps not, because Kenya is still a democracy. Ruto will face another election in 2027. That's when people can force him to go via the ballot box.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment.
So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can we expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
We start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Aaron Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital.